Hey guys, this is Aaliyah with Kadinko. Thank you for joining us. Today we'll have Binan with Rish, and we will have her on here in just a moment. There we go. Hey Binan. Okay, we're gonna add you on here. How are
I'm so
you?
sorry.
Way better,
That
right?
was not supposed to happen.
It's okay. Third time's the charm. That's why we do. That's why I was like, let me log out, and log back in, because
Yes.
Wi-Fi and everything being over the internet, it's just a little bit
Yes.
different. How are you doing today?
Yes. And I
You were
have to
saying that
be
you were.
transparent. This is my first live. So like I was
Oh, I
telling you
feel so
before,
honored.
like I was telling you before, I'm a very private person. So this is a bit, strange for me. But, there's a first time for everything, right?
Right, absolutely. I just wanted to welcome you to Kadinko. We do these lives because we support mothers and as well as support women in business. And you have a website that we're so excited about. But before that, tell us a little bit about you. I know our viewers really want to know.
Oh, well, thank you. And thank you for having me and actually, kind of getting to know your vision and your mission with supporting women has been really exciting. And you should be very proud of yourself for
Thank you
kind of
so much.
pursuing that.
Oh, thank you.
Um, so actually I'm a second generation Syrian American. I grew up on the East Coast, and after I got married, we moved around a bit within the East Coast, Midwest, West Coast, actually, and then back to Michigan, where we've kind of settled for the last 12 years. I'm a wife, I'm a mother of 4 children, and let's see, my oldest is a junior in college, and then
Mashallah.
I have a high schooler, a middle schooler, and my youngest is in 4th grade. So yes, I've actually won at every academic phase at this point.
Mashallah, that is a lot of work. And mashallah, you look great for all those kids going to
Thank
school
you.
at home. So
Thank
you're doing it, Mom. And so Hakima says, hey, ladies. Hi, Banan.
Oh,
Salam.
hey, Hakima, we love you.
And I have Shop Noor Noor and Noor Beauty. So we have some ladies here supporting you today. So let's get into it. So we know you're a mom. So tell us a little bit about how you got into the work and be doing motherhood at the same time.
So I guess I would need to take a step back and just give a little background about my career
Yeah, go ahead, please.
trajectory. Because I had a couple shifts already in my career. I started out actually as a clinical pharmacist. So I actually graduated with my Doctor of Pharmacy degree back in 2007.
Mm-hmm.
So 5 years after that, and I got married very young. So I was 17 when I got married. I had my first daughter at 19. So, during pharmacy school, I actually graduated with 2 kids. After 5 years after I graduated, I had my first shift, and that was because my husband, who is a physician, he decided he wanted to open up his own cardiovascular clinic.
Right.
And basically on a whim, I was kind of thrown into the business world. It was just something that I thought was a short-term, helping my husband type thing, which turned into
Right.
something spanned over 7 years, where I basically built the clinic from the ground up and grew the team from the first employee to a team of 25.
Right.
So I didn't have any business background. I didn't have any training or anything. I was just kind of thrown into it. And so, I can get into a little bit of details later if you want, but basically, while I was doing that, I had a few people, on separate occasions kind of come to me and say, do you have any business, you're doing a really great job here. Do you have a business degree or something? And I'm like, no, actually, I'm just a pharmacist, which is the opposite of having a business degree.
Right.
And so, but a seed got planted in my head of, what could I do, more if I were to have that formal education. And so I actually did go back to school. I went to the Ross School of Business at the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor, and I got my MBA. And I just graduated about so a little over a year ago.
Oh, mashallah. What did you get your MBA in?
I didn't like micro focus in anything. It was just a general MBA.
Okay.
Although I did do you know, a subspecialty of operations and entrepreneurship, because those are my two things that I love.
Right.
But it's a general MBA.
I always tell people, do what you love, because if you don't do what you love, it's gonna end up being like, oh, I wasted my time in this, and now I have, you know, when you're doing the ever-changing career.
And I won't say I didn't love pharmacy. I would just say I didn't like the job of being a pharmacist.
Right, absolutely.
I definitely love science. I definitely love, actually that's my biggest struggle within business, is it's so anti-science, because, you know, although there are rules to business, but, you know, the first thing we kind of learn in business school is that the answer to any business question is it depends.
Right.
Whereas coming from a science heavy background, yeah, there's laws that govern it, you know, it's very, and full disclaimer, you do not have to go back to business school to start a business. I'm just like a very didactic traditionalist, and I love doing school. I'm a big nerd. So it worked for me, but you don't have to get an MBA to start a business.
I know a lot of people who've chosen to go the path of an MBA, and then some people who went in the path of just starting their own business. And that's what's nice to see, is because we do have a lot of people who we've talked to in the past who didn't go that far in school. So it's nice to show the moms who have taken that education and have taken those steps, especially having children and having, you know, a family life and a dynamic, and being so young and wanting to finish that career. That is such an achievement in itself. So, you know, you have to give yourself a pat on the back.
Oh, thank you.
You did all of that. You can't just say, you know, you don't have to get. That's an achievement.
Yeah,
in itself.
I definitely have a soft spot for moms who want to further their education, because there are a lot of resources out there in this day and age for working moms, like moms who want to pursue a career, but not so much for moms who want to go back to school. So, you know, whereas you go into the workforce and there's a lot of working moms, when you go back to school, you are very much a very small minority. Right. And it is a very strange feeling to have to, like, you know, most of the students are, you know, still single, or, you know, they don't have kids, married, but kids. So it is very intimidating, but it is definitely doable.
Right, absolutely. I always tell people, and she's gonna like strangle me every time, but the founder of this company is my sister Thoraya with Kadinco, and she's a single mom, and she got her master's in biology, and she works in LabCorp, so she does a lot of stuff with science as well. So you and her would probably have a little bit of that, but it's that foundation of setting that, you know, letting your children see, like, just because I'm a single mom or just because I'm a mom doesn't mean I can't go back to school, doesn't mean I can't do it while you're in school. So it's kind of those things is when you're showing your junior in college, like, I just graduated with my MBA last year. It's kind of like an uplifting way to say, see, I did school, so you have to do school too.
Yeah. Speaking of that, actually, we overlapped a year. So I was at the University of Michigan. She goes to the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, and we overlapped. So when she was a freshman, I was in my last year of my MBA. So we were actually going to the same college at the same time.
So you were like, only just 1 year, I promise.
Yes.
Mom, please don't go to school with me.
Yes.
And where did that come in?
We met up a couple times. She's really cool. So I said we met up a couple times, but I tried not to, you know, overdo it.
They probably didn't even know you were the mom. You're so much young looking. So I think it's that, you know, Mediterranean. It gives us that youthful glow, right? Alhamdulillah. So where, with all of this children and business and MBA, came into life Riche? Where did wanting to be your own business person come into play?
Okay, so Riche specifically was just a nagging, you know, idea in my head for the last, you know, few years. You know, as most businesses, usually they're born out of, you know, your own need. And I, you know, just as a Muslim woman, as a consumer of, you know, modest fashion, as a hijabi woman, you know, we all have the same type of, you know, headache when it comes to, you know, dressing modestly, finding things that are, you know, not only, you know, modest, and then, you know, you don't want a lot of, you know, layers. You don't want, you know, the neckline. Is it too tight? Is it this? Is it that? And then on top of that, you want it to be chic. You want it to be fashionable. You want it to be, edgy and have your personality, kind of
Right.
flow through it. So it's always been a challenge. It's not just, I'm not unique in that. It's all of us. Any woman who chooses to dress modestly is going to have this struggle. So, it's always been in the back of my mind. In business school, though, is kind of where it came to fruition because, like I mentioned before, I did an entrepreneurship track. And we had to kind of come up with a business idea. It could be something that, you just came up with in the whim, or it could be something that you've been thinking about.
Right.
And you had to kind of, research it, explore it, present it to, your fellow students, professors, things like that. So it was the first time that I was like, a lot of times you kind of hesitate to kind of come up with, open up about the ideas in your head. And so but I was like, if not now, when, And so it was the first time I kind of put the idea to paper, and I got really positive feedback about the idea, even though I hadn't figured out any of the details. But I just got this initial boost of oh, this actually isn't crazy. There is a need. And so I kind of took advantage of the fact that I was, in business school, and I had access to resources and research and professors and things like that to kind of delve into the business problem that I wanted to solve. And so I did a lot of research. I learned a lot about the modest fashion industry. I did surveys for both the consumer side, like the modest fashion to consumer, to kind of understand their needs, as well as the retailer side, to see, the people, the entrepreneurs, the businesswomen, whoever who were kind of behind the scenes trying to address the modest consumers' needs. And I learned a lot. I was very surprised with a lot of things that I learned. And probably one of the most important takeaways that I got was that, in my mind, it was oh, there's not a lot of people addressing this market. And although I do feel like there could be more, there's so many small and medium-sized businesses, mostly women, who are trying to address this market, who do have businesses, smaller and mid-sized businesses, selling hijab, selling abaya, selling, clothes, different separates and sets and things like that, modest swimwear, things like that. But they're smaller and not as well known. So when
the reach is far.
Yes. And so when I, surveyed the consumer and I asked them, what are the top brands that you know of in terms of modest fashion, it was the same, two
Moda
or three.
Nisa,
Yes.
Moda Nisa and stuff.
Yeah.
I say overseas brands like Shein, Moda Nisa, and all that, they don't understand the American culture as far as shopping and the contact of getting to somebody who's in the United States, who can get, or actually North America, who you can actually get that product from. I had trouble with Eid this last Eid. This is why I was like, enough is enough with purchasing from places like Moda Nisa or Shein or whatnot, because my packages weren't coming in on time, and I had no contact. I couldn't be like, hey, this is what's going on, kind of to express what's happening in the purchasing part of it. So I completely understand it. It's a great platform to have. I appreciate you doing that. And one of the ladies said, and plus sizes, they don't understand what our real plus size type is, and it's a struggle. I'm not gonna lie, I'm saying it out here, I'm a size 12. I'm not a skinny girl, and so when I'm in wearing clothing, and I want to wear it well, I want to wear my size well, I don't want to look like I'm floating, at the same time I don't want to look like I'm spilling out of my clothes as well. So I want to make sure there's some modest clothing that I wear that it's not modest at all, because it's tight or weird fitting, or when the sleeves here, I'm like, I'm not a chicken. so
yes, exactly.
Those are the things that this type of platform is, where we're looking at. I just wanted to know, so with bringing in people, how has that been like with the surveys and finding out what?
You mean brands?
Yeah, with bringing in brands and finding which brand will be perfect with the people you've asked, what would look good, with she said, my sister's always keeping it real. I have to 100%, But what I mean by that is, like, when you surveyed these people, what type of brands are you looking for to have on the Riche website?
So the main thing is that the modest fashion consumer in the U.S., it's a very diverse population. So and I'll just go on a really quick tangent about plus size.
Yeah,
I actually don't have nearly enough plus sizes I need to have on Riche, and that's specifically because I just haven't really partnered yet with brands that address that specific, you know, like the size inclusive, you know, plus size market. But I am like in an immediate dire need. So if there's any
if
brands
you're
out
a
there
plus size and you're watching this, you make plus size clothing.
Please,
I know.
Actually, that
I
is.
see Cover Me Cutie. She's sitting here like.
They
yeah,
they it's the number one request I get. I get messages on the website all the time and emails that are saying where are the plus sizes, and I've told these customers I'm working on it, you know, because I really am. Right. But that's for sure. I'm getting that request from customers. So there's obvious you know, the brands. You know, a marketplace is a very so let me just explain really quickly. A marketplace, and don't use specific any marketplace, but whether it's big like eBay or Etsy or Amazon, or whether it's a tiny little one like Riche, basically it just means that I don't hold any inventory. I'm not selling anything myself. All I'm really doing is connecting to other websites. So I'm connecting, you know, via API, like electronically, to other websites. And basically the nice thing about a marketplace is that you can shop multiple brands and then check out once. And then your products will be shipped from all the different brands that you've bought from, basically. So it's great. Just like provides, what's that?
I said it's great to have an open market. There's sisters on here.
Yes, and so it just makes it
like, wait, there's somebody who'll sell stuff for me. So this is an open market to helping other sisters out.
Yes, yes, and so that's what I kind of envision to create is like a win-win situation for both the retailers that are, you know, trying to address this market, as well as the customer that, you know, like if I wanted to, for example, you know, go on vacation and I needed some, some modest pieces. Let's say I wanted a swimsuit, a modest swimsuit. I need some hijabs. I need some modest pieces. Most likely, I'm not going to be able to go to one site and find all these things. I'm going to have to go and check out at, you know, 3 or 4 different websites. So that's basically the concept of a marketplace, is that, you know, you can, you know, make it a comprehensive, convenient shopping experience for the consumer. But at the same token, marketplaces have.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry?
Ahead. No, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I have
so what I'm saying is
how can they partner up?
Oh, they can just send me a message. Maybe I'll put in my email in the chat.
That
it has a chicken and egg phenomenon problem, and which is like, which comes first, the chicken or the egg? And so, oh, it's okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. And so what I was saying is that I was just saying that basically it's very hard to start because you're trying to attract customers and, you know, vendors at the same time. So I'm very grateful to that first handful of brands that signed up with me, you know, with Riche. From the get-go, before I had any customers or even a website, actually, because I was building the website and I was trying to like get people, because if I don't get vendors on, then I have no product. I can't attract any customer. And so I kind of had to sell that vision to like at least a good handful of people that, you know, that would, you know, kind of appreciate the idea and kind of, you know, take me on it. But I've tried to make it extremely easy to partner up, as long as you have, you know, products that address the modest market. And by the way, I have things besides just clothing and hijabs and abayas. There's accessories as well. There's jewelry. There's bags, shoes. Yeah.
Are there any like facial or like
I do have
products?
I don't have any skincare products yet. I do have cosmetics though, because I have some cosmetics that are specific to Southeast Asian skin tones, you know, darker skin tones. So,
Right.
which is also something that's pretty common among the modest consumer. So yeah, but I'm, you know, anything that, you know, would serve that market, you know, you could list on the site as long as it's within that. I mean, we're not gonna, I don't have like housewares or things like that
Right.
yet, but
I feel like there's a lot of sisters who do have a business that's unique, and like handmade businesses that we don't see anymore. Like you can buy any scarf now from Macy's or Dillard's, but
right.
getting that handmade scarf that is great quality and for a low price is so nice to, you know, put on yourself and go, I know who made this. I know,
Right.
like Maida, she keeps question, but Maida Hijabs, like I know she made it. I know it's gonna feel good. And she's asking you a question. Does that affect the final price to the customer going through the marketplace? Are there fees? I mean, how does it serve you?
Okay, so yeah, I just put in my email. So if somebody is like interested, they can just email me directly. Yeah, so basically a marketplace just it operates like any other marketplace. If you were a third-party seller selling on Amazon, it would be the same thing. So the final price to the customer does not need to be affected. I don't control the price. I don't control actually even the photography or the product description, because all I'm really doing is building a connection between my site and so your product kind of feeds into the site, and then of course I make sure it looks uniform and that it flows, you know, with the rest of the products, and I'll categorize them. So you could technically on the site, you know, shop by brand, but you can also shop by category. So if I wanted to buy, you know, a silk hijab, for example, I could, you know, go to silk hijabs and anything silk would pop up from different brands. So, you know, but just like any other marketplace, there'll be a commission for, you know, a sale, and that would be, you know, how the marketplace can keep running. But that would be, you know, doesn't necessarily have to come from the, you know, the final price to the customer. But we can talk more, you know, I'll talk specifically to.
Absolutely. Tell us a little bit about where the word rish comes from. I know people are kind of like, rish, what is that?
Yeah. Sure. So rish is an Arabic word that means feather. And so I guess for our, you know, I don't know how much of your viewership is Muslim, but I'm going to have to kind of talk
Most of it is, yeah.
Okay. So basically the inspiration for that name came from a verse in the Quran, an ayah in Surah Al-A'raf, and it's يا بني آدم قد أنزلنا عليكم لباسا يواري سوآتكم وريشا. And it was one of those, obviously the idea was kind of in the back of my head, and and it was one of those instances where you have like an aha moment, you know, you've read the same verse over and over, but, you know, for the first time it kind of means something different to you. And so basically, you know, for people who don't speak Arabic, the verse means, you know, O children of Adam, we have bestowed upon you clothing that will, you know, to guard your modesty, and also rish, so rishan, which means, and also feathers. So it's basically a beautiful metaphor for, you know, what makes birds beautiful is their feathers. So, right, it's their color of the feather, it's the pattern of the feather. And so it's, you know, when I read it, I was like, you know, we have a divine right to look beautiful in our clothing. Like, and I know I'm not like, you know, yes. And so I'm not like revolutionary. Obviously, you know, this has been the idea that women, in order to be modest, have to wear black, you know, top to bottom. We can't wear bright clothes or, you know, patterns or things like that. That's obviously been debunked, you know, in the last, you know, 10 or 20 years. But, you know, at the same time, you know, I never believed in it, but just seeing it like, you know, in a verse, and just so beautiful and so concise and in just one word, you know, it just really spoke to me, and I was like, oh, I like that word. Yeah, I think that's going to be my thing.
You chose something that, you know, not only means to you in Arabic, but your culture, but as well as Islamically. A lot of people, when they do modest fashion, you know, it just says like scarves.com, and it's just like rish, it's something a little different, or, you know, it gives it a little bit of a different flow. I like when people relate to their culture, use their name, or use their, you know, who they are to relate to their business, it really does shine on that. When you were creating Reach and an online platform, how was your home life compared to, you know, your business life? Was it different? Was it ever changing with COVID?
Oh yeah, well, COVID is a whole other story. I mean, I launched in February 2020, so literally like weeks before the pandemic.
Right.
And so yeah, I mean, I joke and say like I launched the business at like the absolute wrong time, and especially I think like as a Muslim, you know, consumer market, you know, it was just really sad. Nobody was really buying anything, and even Ramadan, which is typically like that time when like sales are up through the roof and things like that. It's very hard. Maybe for an established business, they wouldn't have been affected, but for a new business that you know not a lot of people know about, and you're still trying to establish credibility and trust with the consumer, it was just very hard because you know you're trying to be very diligent about where you're putting your marketing, you know, efforts and marketing dollars, and you know the whole world was in a crisis. So alhamdulillah, we're kind of recovering from that. So yeah, COVID is a whole other
online shopping, I feel like, has actually went up since COVID has happened because nobody's actually really going out to buy their clothing. So this is a great way. And like I said, because it's local and most of the people on your website are from the US because of free shipping, correct?
Yes. So yeah, my customers are pretty much, I mean, I've had a handful from Canada, but which is a whole other ballgame. Canada's, yeah.
Toronto here.
Shipping and duties. Oh my God.
When I was traveling back, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad it's quiet. But at the same time, I miss all the little kids running around, screaming in my lives, and me going, go away. Get out of the screen.
So my customer base is in the US, but I actually do have a few boutiques from like there's 2 in Europe, there's one brand in Australia, and actually I have one in Africa. She's in Nigeria, and she makes really interesting pieces. So I do have brands from all over the world.
So you're kind of worldwide on your website right now.
That's but my customer base is in the US.
It's nice because most of the businesses are just you know, smaller businesses and women owned, and it's nice to see the diversity that you've chosen to put on your platform, because a lot of people don't have diversity in their platform, especially with what's going on in our climate, you know, with George Floyd and, you know, Jacob Blake and everybody who has been affected by Black Lives Matter. It's nice to see diversity, especially from us who are Arab, you know, to put that through on the website and use people of the Black African American culture or Black American culture and putting that on their websites. And it's nice to know that we can adapt to these cultures and adapt to, you know, what is happening and put a light on it. And I saw you doing that with Hakima, having her display your website on her page, and I just thought this was so beautiful, and I was like, I gotta meet this lady. Like, my husband is from Eritrean culture, so it's nice to see that expansion of other Arab women and women from the Middle Eastern culture expanding out to the other communities. And how has that impacted you?
Well, I mean, Hakima is like a ball game in and of herself. I mean, she's just amazing.
She's amazing.
I don't know who wouldn't want to work with her. She's so sweet. She's so easy to work with. But yeah, I mean, it's representation is very, very important. And I mean, you have to be real about who we are as a Muslim community. We're a very diverse community. It's not, you know, uni-ethnical. It's, you know, there's such a diversity of, ethnic regions and cultures and practices and things like that. It's just, you know, trying to kind of unify it with you know, the theme of women who choose to dress modestly. And by the way, I do have to say that there are, you know, outside of just the Muslim world, there are you know, other religious groups like Orthodox Jews and conservative Christians who also choose to dress modestly. And I actually do have customers from those you know, groups as well. As a matter of fact, I actually have a vendor who sells their Project 6. They sell on the site, and they are a Jewish brand who
that's awesome.
Specializes in modest fashion, and they have beautiful things. So it's been a very like rewarding experience for me, because like sometimes what drives you in the beginning of having a business idea kind of changes. And I feel like in the beginning I was like obsessed with the idea, but now it's like I just love working with these other women who all like have such
it gets
interesting
contagious.
stories.
Yeah.
Yeah, they all have like, there's, you know, so like a wide variety of places where they live, and wide variety of like you know, ethnic backgrounds, and wide variety of like cultures, and even styles, you know, like, because each brand kind of brings in its own little flavor. Like there's ones that are kind of more, you know, boho, and others that are kind of more chic, and more, some are like very straight line professional. And so just having that diversity too, because like not only do we have differences in styles, also, you know, we have differences in what modest means. So, you know, some are, you know, very long abayas, and others are more, you know, just longer shirts and things like that.
As long as the crop top and the skirt go up,
yes.
it looks great, right?
Exactly.
Fashion is such a unique thing, because, you know, when you heard fashion, at least when I was growing up, it was always fashion like haute couture and people run down the runway. But as I grew up, I realized fashion was something of its own, especially with Instagram and social media, and, you know, all of this influencers coming out wearing hijab. Our first cover girl wearing hijab, you know, on the billboards, and seeing those Muslim modesty in the fashion world. It's really changed. What does that mean to you when you were growing up till now, and from then until now, about Muslim fashion in the industry?
Oh, well, I mean, I'm like you. I was born here and I was raised here, and I started wearing hijab when I was 15 years old. And
Same.
you know, and things have changed so much just in the last, like I was mentioning, I graduated from pharmacy school in 2007.
Right.
So I'm of the belief that in order for me to be modest, I have to cover my, like, you know, my hips, right?
Right.
And so there was no such thing as a tunic back then, like in the early 2000s. And so
I would have loved to have a tunic.
Yeah, I literally like just a longer top to wear with pants. So I literally did my entire pharmacy school in skirts. Like that's all I did was maxi skirts, skirts and a shirt, because there was nothing I could basically wear, you know, on top of pants that I felt was modest enough. And then of course you'd like go overseas and you'd be like, oh, well, this looks nice. And then, you know, you buy this thing from overseas, you come back to the US, and then you realize how not nice it is, because it like looks okay in that environment, but when you come to the US or, you know, West, it doesn't look good anymore.
Oh my God, I could relate to that on 1,000,000%, where you could wear it overseas and you're like, yeah, I'm hot, I feel good. And then you come here and you're like, I look like nobody.
Yeah.
I feel like an outsider. Why am I so dressed up in such a formal setting, such a casual setting, you know, where it's like people are just wearing. So I wore the undershirts a lot, the body armor shirts, tied up the hijab, like I was choking, you know. But because I was financial advisor. I mean, I was always in the suit, but it's like, where do you find? I can't wear the same two-piece suit, so I was finding myself wearing a lot of the body armor clothes, so I could wear the, you know, half sleeve, you know, banker, what they call banker type outfits, and now. There's so much, and I was like, where was this when I know,
where was this? My formative years. So everything was kind of really hard to, very not accessible, and like you said, it was like too dressy. Like you couldn't just be casual and modest. Like you had to look like I tell my kids a lot, like, do I look like a mom? Because like I don't want to look like a mom.
I do that all the time, and I'm not even a mom. I go, do I look like you guys, to my sisters? I'm like, this look a mom. And they're like, what does that mean? I'm like, you know, mama over there, mama, like, I'm that age.
I know. My oldest daughter, she's always like, why are you so, you are a mom. And I'm like, yeah, I know I'm a mom, but I don't want to look like
But I'm a young mom, and I still want to look good.
So it was just really hard to like dress modestly back, you know, 15 years ago and not look like a mom. You know, you just always have to look that way. And now it's nice that it's like, you know, it's so much more expressive, so much more casual, and somebody totally relates.
Oh, my dad, she's my friend. She said she totally relates. She makes the hijabs. She's actually really good at hijab making, but she's also a mom of twins and a daughter, and she's just had a child get married, mashallah. So she totally can relate.
Moms are amazing.
Still want to be young, but kids are getting married off, right?
You know, I
And she's a young mom too.
That's amazing. I truly fundamentally believe that moms make the best entrepreneurs because there's a specific skill set that you develop as a mother, of resourcefulness. You know,
Right.
and you know, back in business school, like we learned something, for example, like in project management, and it was like any business, there's three constraints, right? There's a time constraint, a financial or resource constraint, or a financial constraint. And it's,
Right.
as moms, it's like that's what we're trained to do. We're trained to, you know, work on limited budget, limited time, and limited
Right.
resources.
Correct.
And so we kind of cultivate this resourcefulness, that, you know, when you just take that same skill set and you put it into something that you're really passionate about, it you know, plus, you know, we just have this drive. And so that's why I just feel like moms make amazing entrepreneurs.
Where do you see like Riche going in the next 5 years? So to the consumers and to the business owners who are watching.
You know, I don't know, 5 years is like a long time, especially
Okay.
it's like, all I want is like
next year. What are
I just
in
want,
a year
like,
from
my
now,
kids
where do
to go
you
to
see it?
school.
5 years, I guess, is too long, but in a year.
No, I mean, you know, like a couple years ago, 5 years was fine. It's like right now, I feel like because of coronavirus, it's like, it's so hard to think past like the next like few months. But no, you're fine. I mean, it's a very valid question. I do hope and you know, and pray, inshallah, that I'm able to, you know, not just me, but like with, you know, other people on the team to you know, build a marketplace and a platform that can really provide a comprehensive shopping experience, so that, you know, when a woman wants to dress modestly, she'll know that she can go to this site and she'll find what she needs. So,
right.
you know, it's just right now, it's, and by the way, you know, this doesn't like interfere at all with you know, with anybody's actual website or business. So it's just like a department store. You know, when you go to a department store, you can see Ralph Lauren and there be a store, right? But also Ralph Lauren is at Macy's. And so
it's just another platform for modest fashion.
Exactly. It's just another platform that, you know, that brands can kind of utilize to expand their customer base and have more people exposed to their brand. Because, you know, you could find out about Riche from, you know, a specific brand that you constantly shop with, but when you go to the site, you'll be exposed to all these other brands that you may not have known about before, because they're smaller brands and you know, they just don't have the reach. And
well, actually, you do have a few larger brands on there, like Sada with Covered Bliss. I'm in a coaching program with her. She's actually teaching me how to build my own, you know, self-through career and business. She's, mashallah, very experienced, very smart. And I give her 100% kudos on helping me become better, because she first saw and she's like, I love your lives, but I'm going to help you out. And kind of like that community of women, you know, they see other Muslim women and they see themselves in there. And I think that's where Riche is trying to help other women who have, you know, don't have that platform where they can kind of show off. And I think that's where, you know, a lot of ladies came on here. And one lady, Maida put on here, she said, I remember at times when I wanted a hijab and I'd be in an Arabic store and the back corner smelled like shawarma. And I can agree with that. I've had actually that happen. I've been where
I know exactly what
your
she's
hijab
talking
smells
about.
like spices. Like,
yes, I know exactly what she's talking about.
I've been in those.
So let's change that. Let's change that.
So
your hijab can smell nice when it arrives.
Yeah, I think this is a happier alternate to doing it. So, and I think that's where a lot of women don't understand is like, there are places and there are people out coming with these type of things. You don't have to go and, you know, find a hijab for, I've seen hijabs now go for $60, $70, you know, and certain websites, but it's not from here. It's not handmade. It's not from women we know. It's just random websites. And now bigger markets like Macy's and Dillard's and, you know, Targets are selling our clothing, our hijab. Like in Toronto, especially, Walmart has, you know, a shawal kameez, the Pakistani.
No way.
And during Eid time, I was like, go away, Walmart. Like,
I know.
Like, get your own thing.
It's sad. You don't want to see, you know, our stuff at Walmart. It's, you know, I mean, you want things to be mainstream, but at the same time, you know, I know what you mean. You know,
right. It's just like, it's really, when somebody can go get a cotton hijab, you know, it's like, oh my God, AIDS in like 10 days and I don't know who to shop from, or I don't have any local. We need more Modesty boutiques.
Yes.
We had one for such a short time, but we saw the need, and a lot of women were like, I wish we had more in Arizona. We don't have any. We have like probably one.
Yeah.
And like I said, it smells like shawarma in the back corner of, and it's like
Exactly.
deep in the city where nobody actually goes. Where now, where I live here in Toronto, you walk across the street and 10 people are selling Modest fashion.
Wow.
I hope it happens like this, you know, more in the States, where Modest fashion is not only just online, but, you know, in our stores too.
Yes, I hope
So we're not running at 3 a.m. to like a Walmart and buying like whatever.
Right, because I mean,
again,
nothing against Walmart, but if it's at Walmart, it's most likely been, God knows where it was produced.
Right. And that's another thing is like, we at Kadinko our tops are made in the United States because we have a hard time seeing children manufacture clothing. We really, as my sister being a mother and, you know, producing stuff for mothers, we think it's very important that, you know, products are not produced with Uyghur Muslims or Chinese or, you know, anyone overseas right now that is suffering. Maybe you like product made in Yemen. I would never, because you don't know.
Right.
Who they're using to do that kind of stuff. So this is why this platform on Riche is so important, because it's just like, you know, I know who I'm buying it from.
Yes. So yeah, I'm with you all the way.
Yeah. So on that note, tell us a little bit about what you with Riche, what you're going to plan to be doing, and what you can offer to the ladies who have been listening or who will listen after our segment here.
Well, I mean, basically it's an offering, it's a two-way offering, right? It's because like I said, I'm not really, you know, a fashion brand in and of myself. And as a matter of fact, I like fashion for myself, but that's not what drives me. You know, I never at any point was like, oh, I want to start my own brand. Like, that's not my thing. I'm actually, you know, the business person. I'm the behind the scenes person. I like to run things. And so, you know, it's a two-way street. Both, you know, I'm connecting the buyer and the seller, right? And so, you know, I hope, and like going back to my point about, you know, the chicken and the egg, the more product and the more variety that I can provide on the site, the more customers that we can attract. And vice versa, the more customers that we can attract, the more, you know, the bigger and the better, you know, not better, but like the more brands that I can, you know, because like I said, you know, a lot of brands are kind of skeptical because they're like, well, I mean, why should I put my stuff on your site? And it's like, I totally get it. It's just, I have made it like risk-free, basically. Like, you have nothing to lose, and only, you know, you can only gain by, you know, joining, because the only thing that could possibly happen is that you'll be exposed to new customers and you'll have more sales. And so that's, you know, from that end, I'm trying to create that win-win situation where, you know, I'm trying to connect the sellers to the correct buyers and the people who are interested in this market.
Does your college student help you with your website?
She does not. She's
like, where can I model?
Yeah, she's actually, I'm private and she's an even more private person. She's very creative. She is actually studying architecture and film, actually. And but I have to say, she's like definitely a person that I, you know, bounce ideas off of, and she's definitely my biggest critic. And but she doesn't really like help, you know. She's more of like the support.
Right. Yeah, well, that's so great that you have that support with your daughter. Was it hard finding any type of support when you were starting Riche, or moving from pharmacy to a business like Riche?
Well, I mean, honestly, no. These days, you know, it's really it's not that hard to find, you know, a developer or a marketing person, or, you know, an agency, you know, marketing agents, or social media people, things like that. You know, like you said, they say you hire your weaknesses or the things that you don't have time for. So right now, you know, my main focus is, you know, dealing with the brands, you know, myself and the customers too, because like customer service is, like you were mentioning before, it's the most important
customer
thing.
service is so important.
Yeah.
I think that's where people get lost, is they start these pages and they, you know, they want to sell to customers, but they forget that you know, what does the consumer want? You know, do they want to go through a whole website? Are they going to buy from me? It's kind of like find the necessities for what people are wanting in business now, especially with your platform and what you're doing. You want to make sure, not, you know, there's not too many of the same thing. There's a little bit of everything, especially like for me, Eid shopping is the worst. I swear,
I know, but it shouldn't be. It should be a happy experience.
Where do I find Eid decorations? Where do I find, you know, Ramadan Kareem? I have to go to the 99-cent store and start making my own stuff. And I don't want to go to 20 different sites and look up on Amazon and do all that. I just want to go to one place, find my Eid outfit, find my Ramadan top, find my abaya that I'm going to wear at the masjid every night, you know, and pray tarawih. I just want that stuff ready and prepared on one place. So I don't know if you're going to be doing Eid products as well.
I haven't really delved into that because, you know, it's very hard in the beginning because you kind of have to establish yourself within a specific niche before you expand.
Right.
You know, if you kind of spread yourself too thin from the beginning, you don't really establish, you know, who you are as a brand. But to what you were saying about, you know, you want to go Ramadan and Eid shopping, you want to not have to go to 20 different sites. I mean, you know, when you ask me about the vision, that is the vision. The vision is that somebody like you wouldn't need to do that, and they would know exactly where to go, and that inshallah it would be, you know, good quality, you know, reliable shipping, you know, things like that. So that's going to take time, and that's something that's, you know, it doesn't matter what kind of business, it's hard because it's it's always a slow start. It's always, you know, when we hear about people who are successful in business, usually, you know, it's not an overnight thing. It's usually, you know, it's a few years in the making that they've been behind the scenes working diligently. And so, you know, I hope that one day it will be that vision that you just described, you know, that's what Rish would be.
Absolutely. I just want one last question.
No, you're fine. Your no, you're fine.
So with this happening, like I said, we get a lot of moms who come back and watch these, and we have a lot of new business owners. What's one tip you want to give to those business owners or people who are kind of like, should I start this business or have a feeling about it? What would you give that advice?
Okay. So as a woman, as a mom who has like worked or went to school or furthered my education, whatever it is, you know, in various stages when I had 1 kid, 2 kids, 3 kids, 4 kids, and kind of, you know, the main thing is that if it's important to you, you will find a way, but it can't be optional. It can't be something that, oh yeah, I should do it, but maybe not right now. I should, you know, start this business, or I should go back to school, or I should do this. As long as it's a should, it's like literally never going to happen.
It will never happen.
It has to be a must. It has to be like your number one priority. Once you make that your number one priority, whatever it is that you want to pursue, everything else will fall in place. And I have a lot of friends and you know, people, like women that I know that are always like, you know, 1 step forward, 2 steps back. And, you know, when it comes to starting their own like business or whatever it is, and it's like, I don't know if I can do it. And, you know, it's self-doubt. And everybody has self-doubt. That's beside the point. It's have self-doubt, but do it anyway. Because the reality of it is, if, you know, the same woman that's saying, oh, I don't think I can do it, if you were to just take her and plop her into a situation where, you know, she had no choice, she would figure it out. She would figure it out, and she would manage her time, and she'd be able to do it just fine. It's what's holding anybody back is that self-doubt. So be scared and do it anyway. There's a lot of, you know, obstacles that are going to come on the way. No matter what you try to pursue, you just keep going. And so if it's important to you, make it a priority, make yourself a priority, whatever, you know, idea or thing that you want to pursue for yourself, make that a priority.
MashaAllah, that is so awesome. And that is great. And like I said, if anybody wants to reach out to Benaan, it's BENAAN @rish.com. She also has a Instagram, Rish Official. And I appreciate your time with us today. I appreciate you sharing and giving us a little bit about your life, a little bit about your business, and womanhood and mothers and business. And I wanted to thank you for coming on to our live today. And I hope, inshallah, we see you much, much more and get you on here from a year from now and see what's going on.
Inshallah, inshallah. I mean, I appreciate it so much too. It wasn't so bad, right? As my first
No, it's
live.
not so bad. See, it's easy. I just want the ladies to know,
I'm just
like,
here being
you
myself.
have a voice. I think every woman has a voice, and I think we're here to share it. And I'm so glad I tell people, Kadin means woman. We're the woman company, and that's that. We're here to help women. And I'm glad you found your voice through us today. And I can't wait to see you flourish and be so successful with your business,
Thank
inshallah.
you. Thank you. Same to you. Same to you, Habibti. I really appreciate it.
Have a great day.
I
appreciate you too. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Inshallah. Assalamu alaikum. Bye.